Alright guys, so welcome to episode 3 of the Raw Nats Prep. Today's video is going to be a little different. Like I mentioned in the previous videos before, we're going to be slowly adding in some small things here and there, maybe some tips and tricks about technique, maybe some even programming type things, and some mentality type stuff as well. This video we're going to be going over upper body positioning for the bench press, so how to position like the shoulders, things you're thinking about from the waist up, going down to your hands, elbows, fingers, how you're gripping the barbell. So yeah, stay tuned for this video. And yeah, let's get it. Alright guys, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about as far as upper body positioning during bench press is to really focus on more depression versus retraction. I know a lot of people like retraction that is dug into their mind 1000% for a lot of movements, especially bench press. But I find more so, especially for myself, and the way I coach it is if you really focus on depression, you're more able to get into a stronger and tighter back position versus focusing on retraction. Of course, you're still going to be retracting in the bench press, but it is going to be a smaller amount. And I find that if you put all your emphasis and your mental effort into depression, the small amount of retraction that you do need for the bench press kind of naturally happens. So that is for the first cue. All right, so now how you can cue retraction. I like to cue it by rolling the shoulders underneath the pecs. Of course, that can occur during the slide for the bench press as you're sliding back to get into position, feeling that nice strong upper back tightness. You could also think about, as you're getting underneath, you're holding the barbell. You could think about like you're leveraging yourself underneath the barbell, almost like when you're doing a straight arm pull down. You could almost practice it, and that's one of the teaching cues that I like to do if people just aren't quite getting the more depression and no retraction for the bench press. So as you're trying to get your upper back tight, whether you're just rolling your shoulders underneath or sliding yourself into position, you could cue getting the shoulders to go underneath the pecs. And you can also think about leveraging yourself underneath the barbell to get that more shoulder depression and less retraction. What happens if you get too much retraction and you focus on that too much? I've been talking so much about like what we do need is depression, but I just want to give you guys a reason on why. I would prefer more people to focus on a little bit more depression versus retraction. So if you put your hands up just straight out in front of you, two things that I do think about on why thinking about the retraction isn't as efficient for a setup as people think it is when you retract, just straight retraction, the elbows tend to come tucked slightly more in front. And then that's probably one of the biggest reasons why when people are first starting to get into bench press, they like to not flare their elbows, they do the opposite of flaring their elbows and tucking their shoulders, is because they might be thinking too much about retraction. So the elbows just don't stay stacked underneath the wrist, and the wrist doesn't stay stacked underneath the barbell for that more efficient force transfer. The second thing I want to talk about for upper body positioning in the bench press is how to grip the barbell, which when you're initially getting started, not a lot of people think about, but it can make a world of a difference. So you really need to think about having heavier pressure towards the base of your pointer here. I like to think of this area to generate force as if you're thinking about squatting and the ball of your foot. So you want to feel really, really heavy into the ball of your foot when you're squatting. You want to feel a lot of pressure at the base of your pointer when you're benching. And then, depending on how wide your grip is, you're going to get slightly more and more internally rotated the wider you go, just so that we keep those joints stacked, the elbow stacked underneath the wrist and the barbell, and for maximal force transfer going straight up. So have that base of the pointer pressure right there, and of course if you're close grip, you might be gripping a little bit more straight on. But again, the wider you go, the more internal rotation you're going to have at the shoulder, and the barbell is going to sit closer towards the base of the pinky. Next, I want to briefly go over having outward pressure with your hands. You can think about it as the part of your palm that's in front of the barbell, or pulling the bar apart. It's a cue you might hear a lot, and you want to go in like a V plane. So gripping the barbell here. And again, depending on how wide you go, the more outward pressure you're going to have. So if you're a close grip bench presser, you might not have very much outward pressure at all. But the wider you do grip, the more outward pressure you want. And that helps to create the grip that we do need with the barbell at the base of the pointer and getting towards the where your pinky is and the base and the top part of your wrist meeting. So having that outward pressure, it also creates stability in the upper back and posterior delt, almost as if you're doing like a band pull apart. It's going to stiffen up those muscles, which is part of your base and foundation for the bench press, which anytime you can get a more solid base, your body's going to allow more force to press through up that base. All right, so a small tip. This is a small one now, and you might have to do some playing around with because I'm still experimenting it with myself on how much I need, is instead of just gripping and wrapping your fingers around the barbell, pinching the barbell. And then what I mean by that is as you're going down, not just wrapping and squeezing, but more so using your fingers, especially the pointer finger, and pulling the barbell back. Pulling the barbell back this way towards the palm of your hands. That just adds a little bit more extensor activation. So you're getting the gripping with the flexor and then that slight pull backwards with the extensors, just to create a more solid like foundation, more full body irradiation, which always helps out the leg. So again, you want to balance between gripping and pinching and pulling back to just create that more stability in the forearms. And the very last thing, which is probably the easiest thing to fix, is just making sure that you have a proper rack height. The main reason for that is, like I said, during the bench press, we want to keep that shoulders rolled under the chest position to keep the pressure on as high as we can on the upper back or the base of our neck. And then if the rack height is too low, we're just going to use a lot of force and a lot of effort to unrack the barbell and get it out. However, if the barbell is too high, if you think about it, you're in this nice tuck position. If the barbell is too high and you have to extend, you're going to end up protracting and kind of throwing yourself out of that good position that you worked so hard to create before you unrack the barbell. So I mean, that is the smallest thing that can help to keep you in a good position. We want the barbell rack height to be in a nice position where our elbows are slightly flexed once we're in position, and then to unrack the barbell, it's just going to be extending the elbows and bringing the barbell over us. Alright, so that is going to be it for today's video. Quick tips on the upper body positioning for the bench press. If you guys got any questions at all, leave them down in the comment section down below. Hoping to get more of these videos sprinkled in there. Still learning the new software that I'm editing my videos with. It's DaVinci. I was using Premiere in the past, so like learning a new software. I don't know if you guys seen the first video, the audio cut off at one point and I already deleted all the video, so I wasn't able to re-edit it. But yeah, slowly learning this new software, hopefully to get more efficient with the editing process and add things here and there into the video just to make the video more visually appealing. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Take care guys, and see you guys next time.